on Comic Class, we have a show that we like to do from time to time called Build the Team, where we take a superhero team and we ask, hey, who would be on our dream roster? But it's October, which means that all month long, we're celebrating the creepy, the kooky, the mysterious and spooky, the altogether ooky. Wait, ooky isn't a word. Anyway, my point is that all month long, this isn't Comic Class, this is Comic Crypt. So today, on Build the Team, we're spotlighting Marvel's #1 team for fighting everything that goes bump in the night, the Midnight Suns. This team hasn't had their own series in a while, but they've had homages and similarities popping up here and there, leading many people to wonder if an actual new comic could be around the corner. And considering how many supernatural elements are coming to the MCU, it does feel like now is the perfect time to revisit this 90s icon. So, with all this build-up and in honor of Thorgiween, let's build ourselves a brand new Midnight Suns. First up, the leader of the team, the face that you plant right on the front of the book, Blade. This one is obvious. He served on the original team way back then, and he's also been one of the biggest names in Marvel monster slaying for decades. He's got a lifetime worth of experience hunting down vampires, and we even saw recently on the Avengers how he can take command of other heroes when he has to. Plus, out of all the obscure Marvel horror-themed characters, he's easily the most well-known to the general public, having one successful film franchise under his belt and another one about to start up soon, so he's absolutely the character to put front and center as the leader of this team. But part of me thinks that he shouldn't be on here because he is also on the Avengers at the moment, but the Avengers haven't been a one-membership only team in a long time. Not to mention, Blade currently has his own pocket-sized man thing that lets him teleport freely, so yeah, he could easily pull double team duty. Next up, if you're building a team full of monster slayers, how can you not include Elsa Bloodstone? She's basically the Punisher for monsters. Having grown up in a family where she was trained from birth to have an encyclopedic knowledge of every nightmare beast in this world and the next, and can recite to you verbatim how to kill them with the ease that a short order cook would take to describe how to make a grilled cheese. So in a way, she'd serve as the brains of the team, not so much like the science-y brains, but more of the I know exactly what we're going to face type of brains. But she'd also serve as the armory and financial backing. Remember, the Bloodstones aren't just famous monster hunters, they're famous monster hunters with deep pockets. She could provide the team with their hideout and all the weapons that they could imagine. Also, just speaking in terms of team dynamics, she has an explosive personality that would be great to see bounce off the other characters. I mean, just look at the last time that the Midnight Suns were formed. She and Blade spent an entire issue arguing over who had a tougher job, the Vampire Slayer or the Monster Hunter. And for anybody who thinks that she isn't a big enough name for the team, first off, it's the Midnight Suns. There's no such thing as a character too obscure for this team full of obscure characters. But secondly, she was in the last Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, and if my years of working in a comic book store taught me anything, it's that as soon as a character appears in a video game, people are going to go to the comic book shop and say, hey, I don't know who this character is, but I want to. What can I find them in? So now would kind of be a smart time to add her to a team. Next, you need a wild card, and there aren't many wilder cards out there than Moon Knight. Having fought everything from werewolves to vampires to Egyptian gods to ghosts who he can somehow actually punch in the face, Moon Knight has plenty of experience facing off with the supernatural. And he's got a rather unique way of thinking and viewing the world? Yeah, let's go with that. Which means that if you need someone to solve a mystery on the team, he's your man. But honestly, the main reason I want him in this team book is because how can you not put him in a team book? When Warren Ellis came in here and re-energized this character, he leaned heavily into his multiple personalities, and Jeff Lemire took that ball and ran with it. And ever since we got this reimagining of the character, where there isn't just a Moon Knight, but multiple Moon Knights with wildly varying personalities and approaches to carrying out their job, I have been dying to see him on a regular team series where you can watch this truly unique character bouncing off every other character's personality. And I know that some people might say, well, shouldn't he also be the financial backer for the team because his alter ego, or at least one of his alter egos, Mark Spector, is incredibly wealthy? True. But I would also still keep Elsa Bloodstone as the financial backer because I love the idea of Moon Knight being such a mystery and wild card on the team that they never even go into his alter ego. Maybe Mark Spector doesn't even exist anymore in this series, or he's lost all of his money, or he's only Moon Knight now and all of his human alter egos are gone. Who knows? On a team dedicated to fighting mysteries, I would love for the biggest mystery of all to be a member of their own team. Next up, we need a powerhouse. So far, we got Blade, Elsa Bloodstone, and Moon Knight. 3 people who can kick some ass, but we need some big guns. Not literal big guns, that's Elsa. I mean someone who can challenge gods. And in the Marvel Universe, that means someone with magic. Doctor Strange has got his own stuff going on at the moment, and is a little too clean and family-friendly for this team. Dr. Voodoo would actually be a great choice. He's a very fascinating character, and considering that his specialty is talking to the dead, he would fit right in on this mysterious, darker team. However, he is currently on the Savage Avengers, and while I did just say that no character out there has to stick to only one team, considering how many fascinating and interesting characters there are in the Marvel Universe who deal with magic, if Dr. Voodoo is already on a team, I'd actually rather give another character who isn't in anything at the moment a chance to be spotlighted. Same thing goes for Ghost Rider. All of them. I feel like each of the various Ghost Riders at the moment have a place to be and a very dedicated objective in their various series, so let's leave them all alone so the writers can do what they need to do. So, who are some magical powerhouses not currently being used? My mind immediately went to either Damian Hellstrom or Satana, both of whom are masters of the darkest of dark arts, but between the two of them, I have to go with Satana. Because while Damian Hellstrom might be a jerk and occasionally from time to time gives into his own evil desires, he still generally tends to be on the side of the good guys. Satana, on the other hand, is always on Satana's side. I remember when she joined the Thunderbolts, she was a great addition to that team because you never knew what she was plotting. I would love to put her on this team as that character who is so powerful they need her around, and she's teaming up with them for her own motivations, but she makes it clear from day one, I'm only here because it suits me, and if I want to turn on all of you, I will do it at the drop of a hat. I will leave you halfway through a mission to join the bad guys. I don't care. I think that on a team of good guys fighting the darkest of monsters, having a totally morally gray, chaotic, neutral character on the team would be a great dynamic. Next up, you need the big brains. You need an Iron Man, a Beast, a Mr. Fantastic on this team to study the questions that the rest of the team can't answer. Yes, this is a supernatural team, so science won't come up often, but it will be good to have a character on this team when it does. And when it comes to big brain Marvel monsters, Morbius the Living Vampire is the #1 draft pick. But I'm not just picking him for his intellect. I'm also picking him because now is the right time to get him on a team boat. He's about to have a miniseries launch. He's been popping up in the Avengers with their vampire-related adventures, and he's even got a movie on the horizon. Granted, it's a movie made by Sony Pictures, so I have zero faith in it, but still, even when a comic book movie bombs, it gets at least a few people wanting to read their books, so it would be a good idea to give him a spot in a regular series. Plus, as always, I like to think about team dynamics. And Morbius, the living vampire, a man fighting against his blood-sucking urge, on a team with Blade, a man who believes all vampires should be wiped out, no questions asked, despite being part vampire himself, that would lead to some great confrontations. Next, we need some star power, something to bring readers in, a big name from the current comic book landscape. And as I said, Blade has got some resurgence happening right now, and both Elsa and Moon Knight have got a little crossover power from other mediums, but you need someone who is just exploding at the moment. So I'm going with Venom. As I speak, this character is seeing a surge in popularity not witnessed since the 90s. And let's be real here, if you're going to try and make a Midnight Suns book, the 90s nostalgia crowd would be part of your target audience. And I know some of you might say, but Venom isn't a supernatural themed character. Well, true, but I would totally argue he's a horror themed character, which has always been another driving theme of the Midnight Suns, especially now. Gone are the days of Venom tackling muggers and supervillains. These days, he keeps himself occupied by facing off with alien zombies and space Satan. Yeah, he would absolutely fit the darker tone of this series. In fact, you could even have that be his motivation for sticking around. He knows a big evil abyss demon is coming to Earth, and he's going to need that team that he can trust to do the dark, dirty things that need to be done to bring it down. And lastly, you need that big surprise spot. You need that character on this roster that when Marvel reveals them, it makes everyone stand up and go, wait, what? That character that gets everyone online talking. Because when people are talking online, That's free advertisement right there, and it will keep this book in people's minds asking questions until the series comes out. If you want a Marvel character that will get people talking these days, my mind goes to the X-Men. Yes, not only are the X-Men currently having their own resurgence, but they also have a long-running track record of facing off with demons and traveling to Hell or Limbo. And yet, for some reason, whenever there's a big supernatural kerfuffle, their invitation always mysteriously gets lost in the mail. How odd. So yeah, I'm not going to let that slide anymore. If we're going to make the #1 supernatural fighting team in the Marvel Universe, the X-Men are going to get a spot in there. But who to choose? The most obvious choice to me would be Magic. She trained under Doctor Strange, was trapped in Limbo for so long she basically started running the place, and regularly summons out demons and hellfire to do her bidding. But she's about to go on some big cross-galactic road trip with the New Mutants, so we'll leave her alone to let that story play out. Next choice, I could totally see Angel signing up. After being a Horseman of Death for so long, I could see him fitting in pretty well with a team that regularly battles the forces of the undead. Or how about Strong Guy? Might seem silly, but he was actually the ruler of Hell for a bit, so the rest of the team would have some questions for him. But honestly, I don't think either of them would get that big "what" reaction that I'm looking for. That's why, for the last pick on this team, I'm going with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler might be known as the fun, charming, swashbuckling elf of the X-Men, but he holds a pretty dark secret within him, that he is actually the son of Azazel. Not just one of the oldest mutants in creation, but also one of the several different incarnations of the devil within the Marvel Universe. He even once battled Mephisto for the official title of Satan. In fact, he even comes from a reality called the Brimstone Dimension, a haunting, twisted, supernatural world that Kurt himself actually accesses whenever he teleports. You could even have Azazel be the inciting incident that brings this new team together. Kurt has to stop him, but the X-Men at the moment have kind of declared a truce with all mutants. But Kurt knows that he's going to cause harm to the human world, and Kurt can't let that stand. So if he can't turn to the X-Men, he has to turn to some other heroes. Some heroes who have some experience dealing with the supernatural. And it's not like this would be Kurt's first time working in the world of magic. He was a founding member of Excalibur, a team that always dealt with the lighter side of magic, so he could take that experience onto a team dedicated to the darker side of the craft. But the main reason for picking him? Just think of his personality on this team. As I said, I'm all about creating interesting character dynamics, and Kurt Wagner, a holy man, a man who wanted to grow up to be a priest, who always found comfort in the word of the Lord, would now be on a team with the daughter of Satan, a madman, a man possessed by a space demon, a vampire, and a foul-mouthed huntress. He will be totally out of his element, but at the same time, he might find some kind of a calling here. He might see these people as lost souls, people who constantly come face to face with darkness so many times that he could provide them with some light to help guide them. You could have Eddie Brock, a former Catholic who always turned to the church in his darker moments, asking Kurt for some words of comfort before they go out on a mission. Or Moon Knight talks to him about the Egyptian god that he serves, and the two of them are a bit at odds at first, but eventually they find some common ground as men of their own individual cloth. Or flip the whole thing around, and Kurt is the one who needs help, and he turns to Satana and asks her, how do you deal with being the child of the devil? Because Kurt still can't come to terms with it. In fact, that could be the whole reason why Satana even sticks around on this team. She hates being part of this team. She hates everything about it. Except for Nightcrawler. Something about him intrigues her and makes her want to stick around. And speaking of potential storylines, remember when Kurt died, went to heaven, and was then resurrected? But when he was resurrected, he was banned from ever entering heaven again? Yeah, the X-Men books never really explored any of that, or the ramifications of it, or the massive weight that must be on Kurt's shoulders knowing that he, a holy man, can never return to heaven. That really feels like something that needs to be talked about. You know what book would be perfect to talk about that? Midnight Suns. Imagine if for the second storyline in this book, the team decided that they needed to repay Nightcrawler for helping them out by breaking into heaven to undo what was done to him. Yeah, can you imagine a storyline where Venom, Blade, Satana, Moon Knight, Morbius, and Elsa Bloodstone are running loose in heaven, taking on teams of angels, while Nightcrawler tries to get a one-on-one conversation with God? I can, and I'd like to read that storyline. But that's just me. Let me know what you think about a future Midnight Suns book down below. Also, let us know what's the next team that you want to see us tackle here on Build the Team. And remember to stay tuned all month long as we're celebrating Halloween every single day on this channel. You can also follow us around the web at Professor Thorgy on Twitter and Twitch, or if you want to check out our other channel, Thorgy's Arcade, we have a gaming channel where we're going to be celebrating Thorgiween over there as well. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and happy Halloween.